How's it going, everyone? This is a video I didn't want to make. I didn't think I'd ever be making this, but here I am. I kind of feel like I owe it to you guys to explain some things that have been going on in my life, just because it does impact the channel a bit. It impacts the amount of free time that I have to create videos and stream and stuff. And so I kind of got to make this video. It's a very personal video, but it's necessary just to give you guys some context about what's going on in my life right now. So last November, or was it October, my son, his name is Taylor, his leg started hurting at his kindergarten. The teacher told us that, hey, Taylor was telling us today that his leg was hurting a bit. He has never said that before. And we thought, well, at the time I thought he's just a kid, you know, he bumped it, they were playing, they were running outside. He used it too much. You know, maybe he just needs some rest. My wife, being the smarter person of the two in that moment, was like, you know what? Let's just be careful. Why don't we go to the hospital and just get it checked? And I thought, oh, he's a kid. He runs around. He gets hurt. But you know what? Let's do it. Because the medical system in Korea is awesome. Bless Korea for checking these things out immediately and not needing appointments. Korean medical system rules. So we went to the hospital and, well, we got the x-rays done and something was strange. On his right hip, there's supposed to be like a ball joint that connects the hip and the femur, which is the large leg bone. And a lot of that was just missing. It was just gone. Well, damn. This is now all of a sudden a lot bigger than we thought it was. We thought it was just a kid having like horsed around a bit and was in a bit of pain, because he hadn't complained about any pain up until that point. And it was just a little bit. It was just a little bit of pain he had that day. So holy, we are so lucky we went and got an x-ray right then, because we wouldn't have known, because he normally doesn't feel pain in his leg, even to this day with this condition. It's wow, we're so lucky. So we went and we got an appointment at a larger hospital in Busan first, and then in Seoul. And the first two hospitals we went to, they just told us to do like some physical therapy for him, but they didn't really explain the condition very well. They told us what the name of it was, but they didn't tell us much. They didn't tell us to restrict any activities for him or anything. And so we went to this specialist who specializes within this condition at a big Seoul hospital. So the condition is, it's called LCPD. It's leg calve Perthes disease. And so we went to this big hospital in Seoul and we got it checked from a specialist in this. He's an older doctor. We reserved it. It took us like a month to get, but we went there and he told us that, yeah, he has LCPD for sure. And then he explained exactly what was going on, exactly what stage of it we were in. So yeah, my son basically has this leg condition that his hip joint just sort of died. It just died. Doctors say it can happen for a variety of reasons. A big one is lack of blood flow to the leg. A lot of times it can happen because of some trauma that the leg has experienced. However, our kid did not have that. We would have known if there was some sort of big accident that caused trauma to his leg or like shattered the hip joint or whatever. So like that didn't happen. It just naturally sort of happened. And the big shame of it is this happens in about 1 in 10,000 children. It's a pretty rare disease to get. Taylor just kind of got unlucky. Also, as you can see here, 4 to 8 years old is the most common age of presentation, which is what he was 4 at the time. He was like 4.5 around when we found out, except the doctor did tell us this is a thing that he had probably had for a while, because he was already in stage 2 of it, which means that started like a while back. Could have even started at the end of when he was 3 years old, but we just didn't know because he wasn't hurting in any way. He wasn't limping. It only hurt that one day. And the first time he said it hurt, that's when we got it checked. So we had no idea. So let's talk about what this means for our family. So Taylor has this leg condition where his hip has basically died. And there's 4 phases of this disease. There's the initial necrosis phase where the bone just kind of starts to break down, blood flow is disrupted, and like bone death happens. So that's stage number 1. It's just like the damaging of the bone, which we're past that now. We're past stage 1. The femoral head is what it's called. It's like the bone at the top of the femur. It just kind of flattens. The doctor told us on the last checkup a couple months ago, he's at the end of stage 2, which is the fragmentation stage. So in this phase, the body sort of starts absorbing the old bone, and there's a new bone that's going to grow in its place, and it slowly starts to like reform like bit by bit. So it's the beginning of like the healing process, even though like a lot of the old bone is still there and the body needs to get rid of it. So this process, it takes a while. We're at the end of this stage, but this stage can last for a year or longer. So the big thing about this disease that I'll mention right now is there is an end goal here, and it can get better. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. It can get better, but it takes a long time and it takes a lot of work, which I'll talk about soon. The doctor believes he's at the end of the stage 2 phase. I believe we're going to be going into the stage 3 phase soon. I think the leg is going to start to heal because we've been working really hard on getting blood flow to his leg by doing a bunch of stuff I'm going to mention soon. Stage 3 is the reossification phase, where the bone starts to regrow. It starts to grow back slowly but surely, and that phase takes a long time. So here, like the flat bone that's there, the remnant of like the old bone, all of the other like old bone is sort of reabsorbed into the body, and then it starts to get rounder. It starts to represent like the shape that it's supposed to present as, and it just gets like better and better over time. This phase takes a very long time. This phase can take 2 or 3 years, sometimes shorter, sometimes longer, depending on the situation. But this phase, it takes a while to heal. And then after that phase, stage number 4, which is the healed stage, the bone remodeling, it completes, and then kids can go back to like normal activity again. So the reason why this sucks, he's a kid, and I want my kid to have a very normal life. And it's pretty hard for him to have a normal life because the whole thing about this disease is you're not supposed to let him do any weight-bearing activities. So what that means is he's not allowed to stand on his leg. He's not supposed to stand up on it because that will cause the bone to grow in weirder. So the bone's always going to grow back. Like no matter what, through this process, the bone will always come back. But depending on how we treat this disease, and depending on how well we do with keeping him off his feet, doing physical therapy and stuff, depends on how well it grows back. So if we do a miserable job and we just let him walk around and run around and jump and do whatever he wants and doesn't do the physical therapy that we have to go through, then it's going to grow back messed up, and he could have a limp for the rest of his life, or we'd need like invasive surgery to deal with it. So we have to keep him off his leg. But telling a 5-year-old, hey, you know your friend's over there running and having a good time? Yeah, you don't do that thing anymore. That's something that you're not allowed to do, so sit down. That is the worst thing. I hate having to be the one nag and nag about sitting down because he's just a kid. He should be out running around and getting up to all sorts of no good, with his friends, running around playing hide and seek and just mobile. This is like kid's development phase. He needs to be developing himself in a way that makes him stronger. It's very hard to do that with this disease. However, we are allowed to do other non-weight-bearing activities, like he's allowed to go swimming. That's great. So we signed him up for swimming lessons. He's allowed to go on his bike. I take him out on his bike 3 times a week now for like these big long bike rides. It's great. It's great. So we get to do some fun stuff outside. He's not completely immobile, right? But when he's home and he just wants to walk around, like he walks to the bathroom, we're like, hey, tell us when you got to go to the bathroom. We'll take you there, and it's just awful. We have to take care of him so much like that and tell him not to walk. I bet he certainly doesn't feel good about it, not being able to just walk, like a very simple thing. And I hate to pester him. I hate to be like the bad guy because I want him to walk. I want him to run, but I can't. We used to, in my neighborhood, I live in this beautiful place in South Korea. I moved to a beautiful place because I can work wherever I want. We moved to this place. We used to go hiking. We used to go walking by the beach like almost every day. It was great. And that's something we don't do anymore. I take him out on his little stroller. He has like a stroller wheelchair thing and I can push him around and stuff. But we used to like walking around together, It's been tough. And the reason why I'm making this video, now getting to this point now, which is why I feel like I owe you guys a bit of an explanation, is it's been pretty tough on me and my wife. We had to take him out of kindergarten because the kindergarten he was attending said this is a special condition that we don't want to deal with. He gets up and walks around the classroom a lot, and we don't want to put in the effort to control that. If he gets up and walks around, we're not going to tell him to sit down. The kindergarten was absolutely no help. We gave them like a little stroller thing that he can kind of wheel around on. And of course, he sometimes gets up. He gets up at home too, but we tell him, as much as we can. He sometimes walks a bit. It's like, but like we get him mostly to stay sitting, right? But at the kindergarten he was at, we had signed him up for the year. They didn't want to deal with that. So he's home all day long now. And with him home all day long I have a lot less time to work on YouTube videos because I'm very busy doing stuff here. Because also, we have to do physical therapy for about an hour and a half a day. And I also take him to swimming lessons, and I take him out on his bike at least once a day, one of those, with the physical therapy. So I'm working on his leg like sometimes an hour, and at minimum an hour and a half, maximum like 3 hours, 4 hours. And it's good. We get to hang out a lot. There is definitely a bright side to this. I get to hang out a lot with him, and we get to do stuff, and we have a great time together. We play a lot of Rocket League, when we're at home. And I teach him some English stuff, and his English reading's getting good. It's great. It's good. There's a lot of positives here. But it's also very busy. So, as his dad, I really need to kind of step up and make sure his leg gets better. That's like a thing I got to do. So I have to do this. But also, YouTube's my job. It's my main job now. I'm not a teacher anymore. A lot of people don't know that. It's my main job, and I also need to step up here and make sure that I'm doing a really good job on YouTube as well. So I'm going to try to find like some sort of schedule that works the best. I guess just maybe this whole situation has stressed me out a lot as well. So some days I come to sit down for YouTube, and I do have some time to do it, but I sit down and go, and then I just am not in the mood, right, to do whatever I got to do here. My wife's incredible. She's been helping me a lot with it, but she can't do like the physical therapy because there's a lot of like holding his leg in certain ways for long periods of time that it's just like she can't do it. She's just a bit too weak for it. So for the next 2 or 3 years, this is going to be my life. However, there are some schools, like international schools and stuff here, that I'm going to reach out to and see if they will take someone with Taylor's condition if we supply them with like a wheelchair to the school, and we'll see if we can put him back into kindergarten, because that would help me out a lot. It's also just really important for his personal development, like social development, getting kids to meet one another, because he's basically just at home with us all day, meets his friends sometimes, but not very often. So yeah, we're going to see what we can do with that. And if that happens, I'll definitely be here a lot more than I am now. But it takes me a long time to start things, like starting my next Extreme Demon and stuff like that. But no, don't get me wrong, there's going to be a lot of comments that are like, oh, Eric, take however much time you need off. YouTube doesn't really work like that. This is my job. I also provide for my family. This is how I provide for them. So it's not like this is something I have to do. I have to make everything work, and I'm working on doing that. But just sometimes there will be moments where, like I had this week a bit, which is why I'm kind of making this video now. This week was just a bit of a, mentally, I just kind of pooped out. There's been some great moments, like my friends visited Korea, and while they were here, I was doing his physical therapy. There was a couple times when I was gone when I couldn't, but my wife did step up. But now I'm back on the grind of everything, of YouTube, of his leg, and hopefully he's a fast healer. We caught this very early, and catching it earlier is better, so that's great, Apparently, at his age, the younger this happens, the better the healing process is, and so there's all these things that make it so there should be a good outcome to this. I'll leave a link down below to information about this condition that my son has. If anyone especially younger people, although this can happen in older people as well, if they have like some leg pain at their hip joint and they can't really explain why it's happened, go get it checked out. Don't ignore it. Just go get it checked out. Much like anything in your body, if you feel something's wrong, to go get it checked out. But this is something that I'm very familiar with now. So if there is like some joint pain right there, just get an x-ray. Don't put it off, because a lot of times the earlier you check these things out, the better the outcome's going to be in the end. So we checked it, and that was a big life lesson for me, because my wife was the one who said we should go to the hospital, and we got it checked. So don't ignore those things. Honestly, this is a very rare thing to happen, but go get it checked. Anyways, I'll see you guys soon. There's a lot of cool stuff coming to the channel. I got some banger videos planned. I just gotta get up and do them. I feel like I owed it to you guys to explain what's going on with my life, because it does affect my stuff here. As always, peace.